What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone for another live show. We're gonna talk about the big talk Comolli had yesterday. I was out yesterday, so I only can do this today. I can only do this now. So we're gonna do it. I rewatched it because again I was out yesterday, so I completely rewatched it, and he had a lot of things to say. He had so much to say that he needs to back up so many things in the next, I don't know how long he will get, but after going off the interview, I'm assuming John Elkann is giving him quite some time because he has given him quite some power. Actually, he is the most important player, important person at the club right now. Right now, he is the most important person at the club because nobody can say differently. He is in total control after that new appointment, as CEO. He is basically in charge of hiring people working for him, sacking people working for him or not working for him, whatever you want to call it. And he had a lot to say. He went, so detailed into how big this club is, and the potential of this club is unreal, and we shouldn't be really scared about not being able to compete with the likes of Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Like, he went so big that at this point you just need to sit back and accept that the statements he made are there. They're printed, or actually in words. I have them printed. That you cannot you cannot recover from this in 2-3 years from now. If this fails, by the way, then I will come back to this interview. I will revisit this interview, and I don't want too many excuses, because for all the problems we potentially have, he had a solution in that same interview. So that's what we're going to talk about. Before I do that, thanks Abdallah, I think, for becoming a member. Appreciate that. For all the new members, who have already become a member, if you want to join the private, group with all the members for prediction leagues and to win stuff and just have a chat, reach out to me on social media, and I will add you in that WhatsApp group. That goes for you and anyone who joins the members group. Anyways, we're gonna go into what Comolli had to say. He had a lot to say. I'm gonna filter out a couple of things, etc. So I watched it earlier today. Shout out to Juve for completely typing the interview out, and shout out to ChatGPT to help me translate it, or for you guys to translate it, because it was in English, but I only watch the Italian dub version, which is cool because I understand Italian. I can speak it. But he speaks in English, Comolli. But on the Juve side, I only got the Italian version, which is kind of weird. It's good, but I would have liked, if the two options were out there, because it's weird that, in an entire interview, somebody was talking over Comolli in Italian. So I translated, or Tuto Juve and ChatGPT translated for you guys, So I'm going to read into it. I'm going to pick out things I want to discuss, rather than because he goes on thanking John Elkann, thank you for making me CEO, and talking about the club and the passion at the club, and that's all cool and well. And then he talked about, we want to be ambitious. We talked with the meeting, this morning. We want to return to winning ways. When I sit in the stands, I focus on every match and its results, and that's what I aim to do. I'm a passionate person, and John Elkann shares that same thing with the club, and he's guiding us towards success and etc. Even though as a fan base you probably find that extremely hard to believe at this moment in time, that John Elkann is guiding us to success. It feels more unlikely than likely that he's guiding us to success. But anyways, apparently he is guiding us to success, so we need to take his word for that. Then he talked about that he believes at the club, everybody at the club, wants to win. And then he made a strong statement. The first one saying that he said, we are a Juve, a successful club, with a history of success, and there's no alternative to winning, people are the key. And I agree. There's no alternative to winning. When we talk about top four races, I hate it. When we need to talk about 2 more points and we're in the top four, and 3 more points there, and we can, if Roma drop points, you know what, we can still make top four. It's sickening as a Juve fan to actually discuss that. So I do agree, there is no alternative. It's winning, and that's it. When we talk about the players we sign, the new deals we hand out to players, and all these things we discuss, in great lengths on this channel, all comes back to all the things we do. Are those things good enough to win? Keeping Rugani, and I'm just saying keeping Rugani, for example, or is it keeping McKennie, keeping I don't know, somebody else? Like, is it all relevant to winning? That is, I think, the takeaway. And for the people asking, for some reason, and I now figured out how, YouTube is streaming in both vertically and normal. So if you're watching on the vertical side, you can switch it. Just go on the channel or the notification to the normal size. I just figured out how to switch it off, because it's a setting I didn't know about until, well, I'm seeing it right now. So if you want to switch it to the normal side, you can do that just by the notification or on the channel and click the right live. Apologies for that one. But I do agree. First strong statement of Comolli. We talked about these players and the TikTok followers and the Juve Creator Labs. And, that's all, like, at the end of the day, as a club, you need to evolve. It's 2026 almost, and I never use TikTok, but if TikTok is big and to gain, a new fan base, whatever, you need to explore all these things. As a fan, who watches football, I don't really care about that. I just want to win. So we talked about that. Then he talked about, that, his connection with the club and Agnelli years back when he watched Juve, and all these things, which, Spalletti, he rates Spalletti because he gave quote miners a new position, and it's working out, and it's bold, and it's new, and that's cool. Then he said, we believe in this team. We're ambitious, and we want to continue building with this group. Ours is one of the youngest squads in Serie A. I think it's the third youngest squad, if I'm not mistaken, or no, or up there, depending on, or was it formation-wise, anything. It is a young, quote-unquote, squad. With strong young players and experienced leaders like our captain. We want a competitive team on the pitch, and our focus must always be on winning the next matches. It's all good to have a young squad, whatever. But when he says that we have experienced leaders like our captain, or in general, I hope he's not believing that. I'm sorry. Like, I hope he said that just to say that. It's good. It's nice to say, what, our captain being Locatelli in this case, or if he's talking about Bremer, maybe it's Bremer and I'm completely wrong. Then I'm maybe, I'm sorry, I'll take that back. But in general, the experienced players we have, like, does anyone believe Locatelli is the leader that is going to make us, or is going to guide this team to winning, or Perin? Because those are the leaders apparently in their locker room. Locatelli, Perin, Cambiasso, Bremer. Like, those are names that, again, I will keep repeating myself, with all due respect, have won nothing. So I'm not sure, like, when he combines the two things of, we have a young squad, but we also have experienced leaders, he's talking about players like Perin, Cambiasso, and Locatelli leading a young squad to success. To me, that makes extremely little sense. It does, because none of these players have won enough or done enough in the world of football, or at this club in general, to say, you know what, they're gonna lead a young, and with young they mean Yildiz or Conceição or whoever. They're gonna lead those players, those unexperienced players. They're gonna lead those players to bigger and better things. To me personally, that makes no sense, because I've seen these players not win. I've seen these players not win. I've seen it at the club. So now they're talking about that these are the leaders who are going to take us to the next level. I cannot see it. They got 3 coaches sacked. So why would I believe that these guys are going to get the new generation or the new team we are trying to build to win stuff? For me, weird. I don't get it. Then he talked about his love for football, etc., and Juve. Anyways, that is not really important at this moment in time. The January transfer window, very interesting, because there are reports out there that Spalletti asked for potential signings in January. Might that be a regista, somebody on the left, even though Cabal might be coming back, a center back, whatever. He apparently asked something to the club. Now he said, as I said 2 weeks ago, we have certain financial constraints. We must respect the FFP and act carefully. We have already received a letter from UEFA. January will be difficult. UEFA will monitor it closely. We don't have specific plans, but we will keep our eyes open. The moment that happened, Nikoshira, all these guys came out and said, despite what Comolli said, the club is actually actively looking to try and do something. Again, in January, if FFP is really a thing, then January should not be a reason to make things worse. In January, do not sign another Kelly type of player. Alcaraz, remember, to avoid doing that. If you want to do something in January, and it sounds crazy because it's very unlikely, it needs to be a player who's going to have an impact from the get-go. And with impact, I mean, obviously not a 50 million euro signing in January. I'm not saying that like a Vlahovic type of signing in January. I'm not saying that. But it needs to be a functional player who the coach is going to use. Joe Mario, for example, is not being used by Tudor, or was not being used by Tudor, and is not being used by Spalletti thus far. That makes no sense. That is a signing that can mess up your FFP, your financial things, just to make a signing. I'd rather figure it out the way we're doing it right now, winging it until God knows when, and then in the summer you address it properly, than making things worse financially. And in the summer, you're like, you know what, we got another dot in our team that we need to move on, and nobody wants. On top of that, I'm making it worse, sound it worse. Nico Gonzalez is coming back and Douglas Luiz is coming back, and you end up with a situation much worse than if you didn't actually make a signing in January, period. It needs to be a player that can help, and it also needs to be a player, not specifically, but profile-wise, that Spalletti says, I can use him now and long term. Not now and in the summer we will see. That's it. It cannot be a situation again where we get into this and we're like, oh, actually, we got him, but, and thanks to, but we don't really need him. And then you're back at square one, with having players in the squad you don't really want to have in the squad. Then he talked about the stadium really quickly. He said our goal is to host around 10 concerts a year. We worked hard to make the stadium sustainable for it. As a football club, you need to be more creative, but tell me which other club in the world does what Juve does. We can do much more, enhance our fan base, use our stadium, J Medical and J Hotel more effectively, and improve corporate hospitality. Again, we own the stadium. If we do concerts and we make more money, fine. I don't care. That's why you own a stadium, and that's good. That as a club, that's extra revenue you can actually use. And it's actually a bit sad that we have the new stadium for over 10 years right now, and we haven't really used it properly, like he's saying. I get it. It's Torino. It's not Milano. It's not Rome. It's different. It's not London. So it's not easy to do that. But as a club, you need to find ways to bring more events to the stadium because it is extra money. But as a fan, personally, I'm not too invested in that. That should be a side thing where it's like, oh, it's a concert, it's extra money, fine. I don't really care about that. Competing in Europe, this is interesting. It's the first part. The second part comes later on in the comments. He said, There's both a pessimistic and an optimistic view. On paper, it's difficult to win the Champions League for clubs with revenues below 7/800 million euros. But our optimistic approach is based on vision, not just money. Since 2012, we focus on long-term growth. Some clubs with similar revenues have won. It's possible over time. Before we run, though, we must learn to walk. Before conquering Europe, we must dominate Italy again. And I fully back the idea of, and I've said it, when we talk about Champions League, right now it is sad. You're in it and you try to win it. But we all know we're not going to win the Champions League. It's just milking that money for the club, to get back up their feet. Now, at one point, me will personally stop caring about that as well if you keep investing that money poorly. If you're just scraping top four, keep scraping top four, getting in the Champions League, and then we're wasting money in the summer, then what is the point? That's where it needs to be addressed. But I fully back the idea that you forget about Europe if you're not even dominating in Italy. We need to get back to first competing. Like, that's the first step. Actually compete in Italy and then think about dominating. But I agree. If you want to be sustainable, you need to be on top of the league. At the top of the league, and I'm not saying win it 9 years in a row, because that's impossible. We will never see that happening again for our club, probably. But to let's say we won 9 in a year, back then. Let's say the next 9 years. If you win 4 out of the next 9 years, I'm making this up, and in the other 4 of them, or another 3 of them, you were close competing, and in the other 2, kind of off years. Spread out those 9 years. That's still being dominant in the league, because 9 in a row, it's impossible. It's impossible to achieve. It's actually impossible to achieve. So it needs to be a balance to it. We're not going to win 9 in a row. However, we need to get back on top in Serie A. You need to get back on top of the Serie A and be in control of your own league, being sustainable there. It all starts there. So I agree. The issue is we're far off that situation right now. Very far off. He was asked about Tether. We know the new board members, or one of the new board member, and there's always that friction that apparently John Alcon doesn't want him in the club. He wants too much control, and the club doesn't want to give up too much control. He said, as an ownership and as the president said, so Alcon, our leadership team shares the same approach. We will not ownership and Ferrero, excuse me. We will work with all shareholders within the rules, and we can raise capital, and any partner can act within the same construction. We're pleased to work with Francesco, who is the representative of Tether in the board, and saying that they will work together. Like, there is something else. I don't know. Maybe it's too outspoken for the club the way Tether speaks. Because at the end of the day, if somebody offers you, if you're an owner of a club and somebody is like, I want to invest actual money in the club, as an ownership, you're like, yeah, that sounds fantastic. But something is putting Alcon off, and I have no idea. If anyone knows, you can tell me, but I don't know what really the issue is between Alcon and Tether, or just Alcon and in general allowing new investors coming into the club. I'm not really sure what that issue is all about. But and that's it. Capital increase, again, that's a thing that we've done for the last couple of seasons, and it's not really sustainable if we're being completely honest. It's trying to make the best of a bad situation by throwing money at it and at it and at it, until somebody, we finally click and it doesn't need to be done again. He said the capital increase is a challenging step, but necessary. We've often seen the Italian structures aren't always up to standard. We must make the club financially sustainable. Our goal, as I told Alcon, is to win, and his goal is to stop having to inject money into the club. So every year we're doing capital increases, and Alcon is basically saying, I want to stop doing that, because as a club we need to be sustainable again. I fully back that idea, but we're not sustainable because of bad decisions stemming down from Alcon. That's crazy. That's like you own I don't know, you own, I don't know, you own a waffle shop or something, an ice cream store, and you advertise, 10 different, flavors, but the next 2 months you only offer two flavors, and people are, they're not coming anymore because you're lying. It's like selling a club, to the fans, and then it's not working, selling wrong players. To stay up, you're gonna need to invest your own money to actually not go down. That's what the club is doing. It comes from Alcon. So Alcon is saying, um, you don't want to, as a club, excuse me, as Alcon, to say I don't want to inject money into the club. That's good, but you don't need to do that if the club is run properly. If you don't waste money to Nico Gonzalez or Douglas Luiz or João Mario for coaches who don't want these players, I mean, you're at the head of what's going wrong. Like, at the end of the day, you're investing money, but you're the reason you're investing money into it. So it's, yeah, you want to get rid of that, but you're kind of control of that as well. Um, that's not really interesting. Sporting director same, it's still an open position, but we will fill it in soon. They're actively, I mean, again, when it comes to the sporting director, it is what it is. When it will announce, it will be announced. At this point, like, he's taking ages, take ages, that's not really relevant to us right now. He said Italian football has a great asset, fan passion, and a community. I watched a derby with Torino, 1.2 million viewers. That's huge. Every country faces similar challenges, but the main issue here is the stadium. And then he talked about the Premier League, etc. We have our own stadium, but as a football, as Italy, we know Serie A being, it's not good. The product is not good. It's not good. Okay, CEO. He is a CEO. So he said, my first project as a CEO is to win. I can think of anything else. Every day I wake up thinking about how to make Juve win again and how quickly we can do it. Every ingredient we have leads to victory. I'm obsessed with winning, and this club, the obsession is even stronger. And he said, my focus is getting that number 39 in terms of winning, the Scudetto number 39. That's good to hear, because as a, if you work at Juve, you need to be obsessed with winning. Like, if you work at Juve and your main or primary goal or mindset is not winning, then you shouldn't be at the club. You shouldn't be at the club if winning is not on your mind 24/7. Then you have kind of a problem. Who said that statement again? A couple, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? Which player said something about winning, saying that it's not an obsession? We, like, somebody said it. Some person at the club said it's not an obsession winning. Was it Danilo? I'm not sure if it was. I don't want to misquote somebody, but somebody at the club said it's not really an obsession of winning, or Cambiaso, whatever. It's insane, to actually play for Juve, work for Juve, or whatever, or being Juve fan, and say winning is not an obsession. It should be an obsession. Oh, it was Mota. That's right. It was Mota. And I remember I did that. It was Mota. And I remember the video now. You're right. And I think I did a live. It wasn't a video. I did a live straight afterwards. And I said, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. No, it was an uploaded video. I said, that's crazy. You cannot say that. If you if you at a club like Juve and you're telling me that winning is not, it was Mota, it's not an obsession, that's insane. That's actually insane. That cannot come out of your mouth. Even if you're not talking about winning a title, it's just like small picture, winning a game. Winning a game, period. Just winning a game. What about winning a game? It was after a game. Like, that's crazy. You cannot you cannot say that. So when he says that, I'm like, cool. I expect you to be obsessed about winning. Then he talked about himself, saying everywhere I go, I win. Like, I don't know. Did he win at Liverpool? Did he win at Fenerbahce? He won at Toulouse. He won I think the Coupe de France at Toulouse. So fair play to him. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure that he actually went to Liverpool. I'm not going back all these days. I don't think didn't he sign Andy Carroll and then all those things. I doubt Liverpool won anything in that period. So kind of weird. Again, about cost reduction, talking about we need to boost our revenues and we need to cut some costs. And that's when certain signings come into play, or keeping certain players over, like keeping Kostic on a new deal to play 10 games rather than giving a next gen player a squad and not investing 2 plus million net on his wages. Isn't that really cutting costs? How much of an impact will Kostic have in those 10 games compared to a next gen players? That I also think comes into play when it comes to talking about cutting costs. Now the Real Madrid thing, he signed Suarez. I think you might be right. Was that from Ajax then? He went from Groningen to Ajax, but I'm pretty sure he signed Andy Carroll as well. The Suarez one was obvious. Was it obvious? I mean, I don't know how many of you watch Eredivisie, but he was insane in the Eredivisie, Suarez for Ajax and Groningen as well. Insane. So I don't know if I need to say obvious signing, but yeah, fair play. He signed Suarez. But he was ridiculous. It's basically like signing Ibrahimovic from Ajax, even though he looked even better at the time, or even more talented. But you give him credit for signing Ibrahimovic, but it was very obvious that you needed to sign Ibrahimovic at the time. Modric to Spurs, I think he signed too. Okay, but he was talking about winning, not really about signings. It was or in general, but he was talking about everywhere where I go. Excuse me, I win, and I think he only won at Toulouse, right? Tottenham definitely didn't win anything. Liverpool, I cannot recall in that period, and Fenerbahce, I'm not so sure. He talked about Chelsea, but first this one. He said it's not the biggest clubs that win. Otherwise, Chelsea would have won and Dortmund wouldn't have reached a final. We must be creative and visionary, and we can do it. I mean, you call that Chelsea. However, he says the biggest clubs don't win. Fine. 1 sec. Sorry. But on this statement, he was at Spurs 228. I thought he came after 08, excuse me, after he won the cup. But you can be right. You can be right. Again, it's like no cam problems. I needed to check something. But in general, I think with this quote, excuse me, at the end of the day, yes, like Real Madrid, Bayern, obviously Man U, they have big revenue, but like those clubs are not going to win the title or the Champions League every single season. It's not going to happen. PSG, Man City, there will be outliers. But I think as a fan base, you're looking at a more consistent basis. You want to be around those clubs year in, year out. When he says that we need to be smarter, I'm like, cool. Tell me how smart we need to be, in which way, so we can compete. That's one. And two, I didn't like that he said Dortmund wouldn't have reached a final. It's about winning. Inter reached the final and they got absolutely smoked. At the end, it's still about winning, because one off games, everything can happen, or two off games, it can happen. We know that. We fully know that. But in the final, the main quality comes out every single time. That is the most important thing. The quality comes out. And the revenue they have compared to us is unmatched. That doesn't mean we cannot compete. We went to the Bernabeu, and on another day, you win that game. It happens. Like, you can win you can win games against the best teams. It's very possible. No team wins 50 games out of 50. No matter how much money they put in that club, it's impossible. But it makes it much easier to win. So the solution he's going to need to come up with, I'm very eager and interested to see what it is. But right now, no idea. I have no idea. Thanks for the super chat, Math. Let me see. Okay. I believe Comolli is good and will be a good CEO, but I don't believe he's Agnelli good. Where do you think we will be in 2 years? Thanks for the breakdown. Ooh, that's a tough question. I don't think he will be Agnelli good, because what Agnelli did winning wise, and the development we have, even things we don't like, like changing the logo, etc., is impossible, I think, to do. That's one. Two, where will we be in 2 years? I have no idea. The signings we made last season, okay, that's not his fault, but the signings we made this season, it feels like we wasted a season. No? Wouldn't you agree? Because for now, at this moment in time, well, Joe Mario, not being used. That's one. Openda, not being used much. And when is used, it's not good. That's two. Jonathan David looks like a disaster at this moment in time every time he's on that pitch. And who else did we sign? Did we only sign 3 players? Zegrova is not fit. So it feels like we kind of wasted one more season. So, I mean, right now, we it feels like we just went back a year rather than moved up a year. So 2 years from now, I think we will be in a similar position where we're not the favorites to win a league, but we might be closer to winning a league. I will say that, because the way we're going right now, I don't think we will be competing or be the favorites next season. Excuse me. The following season, maybe we will be closer. I think we need a good 2 years to clean up the mess that has been created and to figure something out. There's no sustainability as well. Spalletti just came in. So to answer your question, kind of the same thing, only maybe a bit more competitive. Knowing going into the season we will be competitive to win the league. Not that on like we were when we were winning 9 in a row. I could easily say we're going to win it every single season. But I think where we can say, okay, we're actually going to compete and try to win it. That's, I think, where we will be in 2 years. By the way, thanks for the super chat. He was a scout at Arsenal for 8 years. That's correct. He basically said that we might do it with some luck, but not consistently. Yeah, that kind of like, that's what he was when you refer to Dortmund and stuff like that. Then yeah, luck. Like, Dortmund deserved to go to the final that season, but it's not sustainable. You think we'll sign anyone in January? Not 100% sure. Maybe is he saying that he throw everyone off? Yes, when you change your sporting director in June, you must accept failure for the first season. Kinda. But we all kind of agree on that, excuse me, as well, over the summer when we were making, those signings. That I don't really care, or it's not really important right now, excuse me. Scouting, he said, scouting essentially, everyone is doing intensively. Not naturally, a club with 8 million euro revenue can do it better than one with a 50 million, but we will focus on both youth and senior scouting. The new sporting director will oversee this from the start to finish. But that comes up the question that we had many youngsters and we kind of fumbled the bag many times. I think that is kind of a big issue when it comes to this club. And then finally on Vlahovic, which is interesting, saying that we reached an agreement with Dusan to go through this season and revisit his situation at the end. That was established last summer by Chiellini and Modesto, he say. Now, no Italian club can match Premier League salaries. We must be financially intelligent in how we manage this. He's basically saying, we know Vlahovic will get an offer from a Premier League club or whatever, and we cannot match that. Monblano, other people came out today saying Dusan gave Juve priority to speak, to put in an offer. The club promised that he will get presented an offer, and based on that, Vlahovic will say, what, I can accept this or I cannot. I will listen to other offers. He's right with the last one. You cannot be forced into offering a big deal that you didn't want to offer him just because you panic because somebody else is offering more money. We cannot do that. That cannot happen. I'm still of the idea or the belief that it's time to move on, because it's not the relationship is not based, like, how do I need to say that? 12 million euros is crazy. It's too much. But the focus is too much on money rather than performances. Like, obviously, contract talks is about money, but it feels like he can go from now until the end of the season scoring 5 goals. From now until the end of the season, 5 goals. Not good. Really poor. But if he says, I will accept 6 million euros, the club is like, you know what? Here you go, 6 million euros, even though you score 5 goals. I feel it's more about, if you lower your wages, no matter what you do from now until the end of the season, we will give you the money. If you will ask for 6 million euros, even if you score 5 goals from now until the end of the season, we will give you that deal. That's the vibe I'm getting from the situation right now. And that cannot be the case. You still need to get value for money. And 6 million euros is still a lot of money. From a 6 million euro striker, I still accept double-figure goals in the league on a consistent basis. Not 11, 15. In Serie A, at least. He's not getting that right now. That's a problem. It shouldn't just be money-focused. It shouldn't. Obviously, it needs to be sustainable, but it needs to be linked to performances. And those performances have not been good enough as of late. Or ever since he joined, some of you might say. So again, that's a situation that will resolve itself. I really hope we won't extend. We need to move on. Let Dusan walk. Thuram just got called up to the French team from injury replacement. Really? Let me check. Oh my God. That's crazy to me. That's very frustrating as well, that he got called up. Obviously, he's the backup to the backup right now. Yeah. I mean, maybe he not be playing because, he didn't call him up, but yeah, that's not good, because I was happy because he was not 100% fit, that he can actually train with Spalletti for 2 weeks, and that opportunity is gone now as well, because, well, Spalletti didn't train. Training starts tomorrow, so they didn't even have a couple of days to train together. He's gone as well. That is extremely frustrating. Just to go out there and sit on the bench. Also, he's not fit. That makes it even worse. I hope you're wrong. That will be a huge mistake. Oh, from the money, the idea, I think that's the vibe they're giving off right now. It's not really about what you're doing. It's just, if the money is good, the wages are cool, then we are cool with it. I don't like that, but I feel like that is kind of the situation at this moment in time at the club when it comes to Vlahovic. No way on what bad luck we're having. Yeah, I mean, I was all hyped that Turan was not going on international break, so we can stay with the team and train, and that's completely gone. That's out of the window. But it is what it is. Anyways, people, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know it's international break. There's not a lot of news. It's difficult to do videos, to listen to videos. I know how it is, but it is what it is. It's only, well, it's Thursday over here almost. So a good full week before we actually get match day news again, and we'll build up to Fiorentina, who are winless, but for some reason probably will rock up under Palladino against us. That's a massive game that we definitely need to win against a team that will be fired up. Don't have a lot of international players, so Palladino can work on that, and Palladino will get them ready. Not Palladino. What am I saying? Palladino went to Atalanta. I'm all over the place. The ex-Torino guy, sorry. He will get them ready for that game because he has time to work on that, and we need to win that game. But yeah, that Thuram news completely threw me off. I'm pissed. I'm actually pissed that it's Fanoli. Yeah, I'm actually pissed that he's gone. I'm actually very, very pissed that he's gone. Ex Lazio. I'm I'm actually rattled about that because I was actually, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, wrapping this one up. Anyone who is still watching, like the video. If you're rewatching as well, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. I have new things coming your way, new podcasts with different people. Gonna mix it up a little bit throughout the season to make it a bit more fun and dynamic rather than just having one person speak a lot of times on this channel. But yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate it, and I'll speak to you guys probably Friday evening again.